Steve Gamache with another Chef Knives to Go quick look product review, and in this edition we are looking at the Kurosaki Shizuku line. This is the AS Gyuto 240mm knife, and this particular line is composed of a core steel, as mentioned, of Aogami Blue Paper Super Hitachi Reactive Carbon Steel, known as AS for short. Or Super Blue. The heat treat's about 62 Rockwell on that, so they don't take that super high hardness and kind of a in-between hardness for a little bit of forgiveness, so there's kind of a good balanced characteristics on these knives. The construction is a soft stainless cladding over the top of that reactive carbon steel, so a three-layer sandwich. You can easily see the cladding and the core steel showing through there. I have been using this knife, so I have developed some of a patina at the edge. We'll get a little bit closer look at that. So only the core steel showing at the edge is reactive. They've also coated the stainless cladding with a blacksmith or kurouchi finish, and then they also have hammered in a pattern to that, which we'll get a look at as well. The weight on this knife is 6.1 ounces, 175 grams, and these will vary a little bit from knife to knife, but this particular one is about 244 millimeters on the edge, about 9.6 inches, 16 inches for the overall length. And on this particular one, coming out of the handle, the thickness of the spine above the back of the edge is about 3.1 millimeters. And then these don't really have a lot of distal taper. I should say they don't have any distal taper much at all. So they thin out a little bit, and sometimes these actually thin out and then thicken back up just a touch. And this particular one does that, where these are handmade, folks, so they're going to vary a little bit. But this particular one thins out just a touch and then gains a little bit of that thickness back towards the tip of the blade, and then thins out right with the grind of the knife. And the tip on these are not super skinny, so you get good performance and decent performance, a little bit of wedging maybe through some ingredients, but you do get some meat behind there as well. So again, they're kind of striking a balance of performance here. The let's see, the height on the blade's about 51.8 millimeters, so fairly tall, but again, that can vary just a little bit. The handle type is their standard well done octagonal rosewood with black packawood ferrule. And nice fit and finish on these handles, smooth at the ferrule wood junction, nice install at the tang. They vary a little bit. I've had some that are a little bit more straight grained and some that have a lot of figures, so that'll vary from knife to knife. The balance point, as long as we're out of deep focus here, the balance point on this, as you might expect, is going to be a little in front of pinch grip because it's a fairly large blade. And so there's the balance point, and my pinch grip's back here. So this is going to give you a weight forward weight balance, or blade forward weight balance, I should say. Let's take a close-up look at the finish on this. These will vary a little bit from knife to knife, but they've got a hammered pattern in there. The 210 I just reviewed is a little bit deeper pattern. This is a little more shallow pattern. In the 210, something you might just watch for and just be aware of, if the pattern is a little deeper, I saw some fairly sharp corners and things in there that you might have to just be a little bit careful of food particles getting lodged in there. So if your particular knife has a little deeper pattern, just keep an eye on that. You may have to scrub it with the brush or something just to make sure everything's off of there. These do have a chiseled kanji, which is muted a bit by the kurouchi finish, filling in some of the chisel marks, but it's a nice chiseled kanji, hand chiseled, and then you can easily see the grind. Kurouchi knives are kind of cool because there's no mistake in the grind. So here's where the grind starts, down towards the edge. You've got kind of a bead blasted faux Kasumi finish on it, and then you've got your core steel showing at the edge. So these are a fairly low grind on the knife, which gives you really good food separation and pretty decent product release as well. They can wedge just a little bit through certain ingredients more than something with a really high grind, but this grind isn't super low, so you're kind of balancing out those characteristics again. They get pretty thin, but they're not crazy thin, and these have gotten great feedback from some professionals on the Chef Knives to Go forums, so they strike a nice balance of performance, durability, within what Japanese knives are going to do for you, and as well as great edge retention and nice heat treat. So a lot of high praise for these from some professionals that use a lot of knives, a lot, and more than a lot of us home users do, of course. But here is our profile. So this particular one is a fairly gentle curve throughout, not super flat. We flow into maybe just a touch of flat near the back, but this particular one, these vary a little bit from knife to knife, but this particular one's just kind of a gentle belly all the way through, shallower at the heel, should say more shallow at the heel than it is at the tip. A little more belly at the tip, but I can get about right there before I start digging the tip in. So this really isn't going to be a super high rocker, but for lower ingredients, it's great for push-pull cutting, glide cutting, where you want a little horizontal motion where you can kind of use some of that curve of the blade. So interesting blade, high praise from some professionals, nice fit and finish. They do finish the spine and polish it a bit to a satin finish, which gives you a nice pop in contrast to the black Kurosaki on the sides. It's a nice touch. Nice fit and finish at the curve of the neck here. Great spot for a pinch grip for your hand, so you can easily do an awesome pinch grip on this. Kind of tailor-made to that. So just a good hard-working knife. I think these are pretty darn similar to the standard Kurosaki AS KU knives, just a little different finish to them. So they seem quite similar. The Kurosaki Shizuku Aogami Super Gyuto 240mm knife.